allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item will be the consent agenda.
I'm going to approve the consent agenda as presented. Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Mary, roll call, please.
Tank?
Aye.
Maxwell?
Aye.
Olson?
Aye.
Okay, what we'll do is we'll do any public comment first that's not on the agenda. Any public comment this evening? Okay, we don't have any public hearings. What I would like to do though is move our executive session. So items number 5 and 6 to be first. So what we'll do is we'll ask you to step out and then we'll do that and then we'll have you come back in. So I'll take a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make a motion to move into executive session pursuant to SDCL 1-25-2, subsection 1, personnel, and 6:01 p.m.
Second.
Okay. Mary, do you take a roll call?
Tank?
Aye.
Maxwell?
Aye.
Aye. You've been waiting,
The other bird.
You've been waiting a long time for that.
Okay, so I will declare us out at 6:46 actually. Thank you.
Oh, I certainly Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you for your patience, everybody.
Andrew, did you have anything else?
Oh.
Yeah, the camera's still on. Did you have anything else for your report later on?
I'm going to tell you about what the meeting I was going to. Had some unproductive meetings with some other folks that want to move their organizations to the area. I just can't say who quite yet publicly. Met with Sanford recently. I do think we'll hear something publicly from them with dirt moving and the building going up this year. That was exciting. The dollar store inquiry was in the same
Same spot as before?
bouncing back and forth on either side of Casey's for a couple of years now. 4 years.
Yeah, the stick up on that has always been design standards.
Yep. And now it's interesting.
Presuming that's not going to change with P and Z. Yep. Okay.
Okay, thank you. So that was item number 5. So we'll go to item number 6, which is the resolution 2020-1, establishing the salaries for 2020.
I move to approve resolution 2020-01, establishing the salaries for 2020.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Mary, roll call, please.
Tank?
Aye.
Maxwell?
Aye.
Olson?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. So now we will go back up to item number 1, which is considering the dispute of a parking fine. This was a snow event, and we have Julia with us.
So we have step up here?
Yes, please.
Okay. Good evening. I am here today to request dismissal of the ticket I received. It's basically that I didn't get proper notification for the red code.
Okay.
I found, I had my car moved at 6:20 a.m. I got my ticket at 5:53. I found here that the alerts that we get are only through notices first when you move into Harrisburg and you get a city utilities. They give you notices through there. And then just recently, well, I think it's in 2015, they started the red code alerts through text messages, phone calls, and emails. I had no inkling of any of those options for me. So I was probably at my house. Another one is through the television. And I watch a lot of movies, like on DVD. So I wouldn't have gotten the one through the TV, and I wouldn't have gotten the emergency alert on my phone because I didn't have any idea that it was out there for me to load or on the system to load. So because of these, when I did find out about the alerts, I did sign up my, which my ticket was on 11/27/19. I called down to the sheriff's department in Canton and asked him about it, and he informed me that this was something that Harrisburg would have to decide on, and that I could request to just have them dismiss the ticket. He said that they may just dismiss it for me, and then I found out I would need to come here and like plead my case, and so everybody is upset, or everybody is at my house now is got their phone set up for the alerts. So I would like to request the dismissal of this ticket. I've lived in Harrisburg since 1999. I've never once received a snow removal ticket. I always try to have it, and I'm used to them plowing down the center and just hitting it around 8 o'clock, like, you know, between 7:30, 8 o'clock. So then that's why I had my car moved by 6:20 that morning.
Is there anybody else in your household who gets those alerts at all?
Oh, yeah, now they do.
No, prior to this, and like
No.
a spouse or
No.
significant other? Anybody
I have
else?
everybody signed up now since I found out about them.
Which street do you live on?
Grand.
Okay.
I park on the cross street. It's 502 Grand, and I don't know what the cross street is.
Chestnut, the other Tiger.
Huh?
Would it be Tiger or?
What?
It's not important.
It's not Tiger. My door face is Grand. There, it is one of the streets that you guys stuck up 4 new signs just this before winter rolled around. It's one of the streets. I think that's one of those 4 streets. And I know it's crazy. I don't know my cross street, but my address is just. I think it's Chestnut, actually. It's a yellow house on the corner of Grand and.
How many inches of snow did we get during that event?
4. I looked it up.
4.
And it started Tuesday evening on the 26th.
So let me just say how we normally handle these, or how we've handled them in the past. That things could change, right? So we know we have some communication issues as far as there's no, newspaper and that type of thing in town. However,
There is a newspaper.
Right, but as far as we've talked about what's immediate type news that needs to be shared, and what could wait a month and that kind of stuff as far as communication. In the last 10 years, 10 years ago, we didn't even have a snow alert policy. And so I think we've come a long way with that, and we've really tried to make sure that we let people know about that. So that's why we use the television and we use all those others, that at least we can communicate.
Right.
And we, let me just share that we have had in the past too, Mary probably remembers this, you probably do as well. We did have it where we had the ticketing starting at when the plows started.
Mhm.
And what would happen is they would start at one end of the town, give everybody warnings, and then they would start towing immediately when they finished. So we had people in Sioux Falls that hadn't even been home from work. We've had, people that, would get tickets and that kind of thing before they even had a chance to move it. So I think we've come a long way as far as trying to be resident friendly. And normally what we do is again, we just make sure that if it's over 2 inches of snow, that you kind of got to use your you know, because other cities have snow alerts as well.
True.
So what we do is we, unless we've had people on vacation, we've had people in the hospital, we've had other situations where we have actually people haven't been here. That's kind of when we've taken more of a consideration of, okay, we obviously couldn't get somewhere to move your car. But I'll let council kind of take it from here if they want to.
How much was the fine again?
$25. There's another way you can prescribe through, they have the alerts that go through the newspapers as far as notification on snow removal. However, you have to subscribe to that newspaper.
Interesting. Because we do the clothesline alert as well.
Sioux Valley, I think it's called.
Oh, okay. I don't know about that part, but I just know we've come a long way from verbal or not having one at all to having more of a system where we just, again, you know, we even have a route. Again, 2 years ago, we were arguing about not even having a route or having emergency streets. And so that's, having those signs is just another mechanism that we're trying to help communicate to residents. So it's not, I understand your situation, but we are, if we were sitting here 10 years ago and we were sitting here tonight and said we haven't done anything to help people, you know, change or help to communicate, I think it'd be a little bit more compelling.
Right.
For
I was
residents.
just not aware of these options that were to me,
Mhm.
and I did not have access
And that's fair.
to your resolve for this
That's
kind
fair.
of removal, which I do now. I had didn't know, but which I think they're good and they're usable, and everybody has a phone at you. It's a very good idea.
I just want people, all residents to understand that we've taken this from nothing to a really good system. Because there are people who are frustrated and say, I
Just
didn't
as long
know.
as they
or-
know about it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm kind of on the same boat with what the mayor just said, is that if it was, it'd be one thing if it was extenuating circumstances where you were out of town or something like that. But in this instance, it's generally when one municipality in the area has a snow alert, they all do. I'm glad that you have it. You have the code red, you sent for that now. But if, in this instance, it's based on how we as a council, and previous councils have gone before, I would, to use your words, Mary, or Mayor, it's not as compelling to cancel the ticket at this time.
Well, I do want to mention that the news that day, they did call it a snow hole, which means that we weren't supposed to be getting that amount of snow either, the 4 inches. So even though I was home, I was sleeping. I worked till 2 a.m. And so when I got home, we didn't have the amount of snow that we had. And I figure I would be moving my car in enough time for the plow to come by, like I always have for 21 years. So I feel like I have done what needs to be done and got caught up on the snow alerts and what needs to be caught up on. I just don't feel, that this 25, I just didn't have the information. I have the information now, so it's basically I didn't have the information.
But you bring up a point that I'd also like to address too. Our city administrators also worked hard with the Lincoln County deputies. We do our snow alerts sometimes days in advance of actually snow coming. And people say, oh, why are they so early with this? And we do that so that people, if they're gonna be home for the weekend or they're gonna be working, we give them time to prepare. And so if we don't have those 2 inches of snow, people say, oh, why did they call snow alert? Well, obviously, a crystal ball would be wonderful, but point being is that, again, we're trying to give residents as much possible warning. And I understand your argument is that you didn't know that. But, you know, there's also things that,
Well, that particular, I also looked that up too, and the 26th was when that was sent out. And it was sent out, for that weekend, or was it it was on a Tuesday, so it was for a remainder of 2 or 3 days.
Right.
So we did go out there for that, but the 26th was the beginning of that.
and, you know, admittedly, we are trying new ways to do communication and that type of thing. But again, I'll just leave it up to council. Because I don't want residents to think that we're not trying to get the information out. Because I think there's also a level of responsibility of a resident as well to kind of.
And I thought that I was doing that.
Okay.
And I mean, I've done it for 21 years. I've been parking on the street. You know, I usually know when the plows go by and what I have for time, and I didn't think anything of it because I wasn't aware of the new ordinance, which they will be changing again here. They change every 5 years.
That I'm not so sure.
The only snow ordinance, or the only snow removal ordinance that changed recently was parking of trailers on the road. That's the only one that changed recently. I appreciate where you're coming from on this, but it's the same thing as like, I normally drive the speed limit, but the one time that I go 65 and 55, it's against that rule in that area or that time. Or if you are downtown Sioux Falls and you think you're gonna be in there for an hour, so you put the stuff in the change in the
Yeah, but
meter.
there's a speed limit sign there. Okay, you know before you get to that zone that there's a speed limit sign.
I agree.
All I'm asking is that.
We also live on Granite, which is a snow removal that has a sign on there that says this is a snow removal of cars.
It's the alert.
Well, there's also
That I didn't
the snow route says that any streets or during any snow event over 2 inches, streets will be plowed and cars need to be removed.
Right, but we weren't supposed to be looking for more than 2 inches of snow that night. And it was later that night on the 26th that was sent out, that emergency alert. I think it was around 11 o'clock. I was sleeping.
What time was the snow alert put out? Do you know, have the record?
On 11/26/19.
It was sent on November 25th at 7:05 p.m.
That's what I'm gonna go back.
Went into effect 8 a.m. Tuesday, 11/26 through noon Wednesday.
Oh my gosh, the whole weekend.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my ticket was written 11/27/19 at 5:53. So
I'm sorry, what date?
11/27/2019, not
Yeah,
December.
Right.
No, this one says, the one from November 25th says 11/26 through noon Wednesday.
So it went through 8 o'clock on the
8 o'clock on
26th.
Tuesday till noon Wednesday.
But it was sent out at 7:05 p.m. Monday, November 25th.
So,
And again, I think the question is she says she didn't get it,
Yeah.
but
yes, the
the
receiving
point
of
being
it.
is that again, I think there's sometimes we just have to, we communicate as much as we can. And I think sometimes the resident, him or herself have to kind of, we're not asking, this isn't something where we're saying we're changing the water bill and it's gonna come out on Monday versus Friday and now everybody's messed up. This is something that we've been doing for years.
Yeah, I feel like I've been diligent. And
I get that. We've had people who say,
no,
my
I mean,
friend had their
being
car
here for
here.
21 years and never getting, this is why this bothers me so. If there were things that were changing, I think that everybody should know what the regulations are. if you're gonna be giving out a ticket and you're making somebody pay $25, then I think I should know what's expected of me. And because I did not get the proper information, I did not know what was expected of me, yet I'm still required to pay a $25 ticket.
And I hear your argument, but
So I don't think that that's,
And we put this out, I mean, in the paper and multiple things. I mean, I think we even had mailers go out, have we not, Mary? That explains it.
I don't know about the snow, but I remember when we had Tiger Times.
Well, but the sign up for Code Red.
so again, I think, and I understand your argument, and we have residents who say the same thing. They'll say, I didn't know that we're gonna have a water or a light fee. Sometimes, again, it's just a resident's responsibility to keep up on what's going on, and so that's why we invite people to come to council meetings. Now we're taping them so that hopefully people who can't come can, get more information. But we're all the same way. If there's a law that's passed in Pier and I don't know about it, it doesn't matter. As of January 1st, no one who is less than 21 can have cigarettes. Sometimes it's just the resident's responsibility to know what the rules are. And that's,
I thought I did.
okay. I think maybe a lesson learned for both of us is that we're going to try to communicate more, and that maybe residents need to make sure that they stay up on what's on our website so that they understand what the rules are.
But I didn't know anything changed.
Okay, well, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
So, any other words?
At this time, I would move to not to dismiss the ticket for Ms. Haberman.
You guys can't even cut it in half. I mean, it's not all my fault.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Mary, roll call, please.
Olson.
Aye.
Maxwell.
Aye.
Hank.
Okay, I appreciate your argument and thank you for coming. And that's what we're here for, is to settle disputes like that.
I was told that you guys wouldn't do it.
Well, it's not out of malice. It's out of principle that we're trying to.
Show me as an example.
No,
No.
not at all.
Well, I don't want this to be shown, so you guys are filming me. I want you to cut me out.
Mary's
Because I don't want to be showed as an example for somebody else. That they can come in here and plead their case to you just like I did, and then get turned down.
Yeah, I'm sorry you feel that way, and I'm sorry you're walking away with that feeling. But I think we've justified again
You're making the note.
our
Well,
reasoning.
thank you for taking the time to listen to me, and y'all have a good night.
Thank you. Okay, so the next item on our agenda is the 2020 liquor license renewal for Yak Shack.
EJ is here regarding the Yak Shack's liquor license renewal for 2020. He's had one previously, so.
All right, I'm TJ. I'm the owner of the Yak Shack. The question of the day is probably like, what's going on with the Yak Shack? I've been closed for about 5 months, and I just had a lot more hiccups and things I wasn't expecting to run into in the bar, and just maybe a difference of maybe what Harrisburg wants. After running it the way I was and being in there 80 to 100 hours a week probably, and I had to step back and ask myself, why wasn't I, profiting or succeeding the way I was going? And I've had other businesses where I was succeeding, and I think the answer I came up with is I had multiple streams of income. My wife's a teacher, and we pay for all of our bills. Plus, we've been keeping up on the Yak Shack, lease and bills and everything we need to, as well as we can. Seems like we always get it in last minute if nothing. But I'm waiting on a pretty large sum of money right now, and we're planning on reopening and revamping and kind of hoping to expand a little bit and getting some sort of Mexican food in there and rebranding. But I don't want to open without being able to put a big sign outside that's lit up and telling everybody, hey, we're here. Let's put something in the paper, maybe give out a free drink or something like that. Because people who come to the Yak Shack, we get 5-star reviews. you know, we always have a good time. You can ask about anybody who's coming there. You know, it's, you know, an enjoyable place to be. It's clean. It stuck a lot of money and time and, you know, myself into it. But yeah, I mean, I went from working at Wiley's for 10 years, and we built one of the biggest bars in Sioux Falls, you know, and we worked with the owners of Tinners and Wiley's and Deuces and Crown, and they actually have a little, you know, investment loan to me out for the liquor license. So like, you know, it's kind of, if I fail, I mean, they're gonna take it and do something with it, you know. So what I plan on doing is waiting for the sum of money, paying their loan off, and then getting some signs out there, reopening, and, you know, just, you know, getting good staff. I have 2 other jobs now, so I have those multiple streams of income. You know, in the 5 months I took a step back, I quit drinking altogether. But I've always had my kid during the day. You know, that was always number one. We had problems with being consistent, opening on time, just that and another, you know. And you know, one of those reasons where I couldn't really afford to pay somebody to be there, and I was hiring people from Sioux Falls. So when we reopen, I want to hire somebody from Harrisburg, you know, who can, you know, commit to it, and, you know, I can give them a decent, you know, amount of money to be there and open earlier, and, you know, get a cook in there and get some food. So yes.
These are all good lessons learned, aren't they?
Oh,
We all learn,
hard
right?
lessons, yeah.
Yeah,
But
we
yeah,
all
they're-
learn every day, so I understand. Are there any, I don't believe there were any deputy concerns or anything, there were
There
any
wasn't. This
issues,
was not on their monthly.
so, and usually that's kind of what we,
Just want to make sure you've done everything you can, just make sure you're not on the Wednesday report anymore.
What's Wednesday?
That's the report that,
Oh, yeah,
when
yeah.
you don't pay
Oh,
the
tax.
distributors.
Oh, distributed. Yeah, I'm on it at the moment, but I mean, it should be lifted in the next 2 weeks. Everything else is paid taxes, everything's caught up. And like I said, I just paid for the liquor license. Everything's coming out of our feature settlement, like I said. So everything will be paid. And before, that's the reason I stopped altogether. It's like, okay, I'm not buying from anybody else. And I'm not gonna say this actually, but, you know, I was kind of directed to do what I was doing, and then I was told to stop. And so, you know, I'm like, okay, we'll stop. I need to stop and figure this out and do it right. But yes.
okay, well, and to Alderman Maxwell's point, yeah, if there's something that you know is wrong, let's make sure that you're not standing here next year at renewal time, because then that would be obviously an issue.
Absolutely.
I move to approve the 2020 retail on sale liquor license for Yak Shack LLC.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Mary, roll call, please.
Tank?
Aye.
Maxwell?
Aye.
Olson?
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Okay, Michael, our next item is the reading of ordinance 2019-21 last year, amending the zoning regulations sections. This is a carryover.
Just as a reminder for what the intent of this regulation change is, to first of all update our zoning map from the annexations and zoning changes that have occurred over the past year, and to make some adjustments to the vehicle sales, rental, and display portion of the general business and light industrial portions of the code. And it moves that use from a permitted use to a conditional use. And it sets forth a couple of additional criteria for that type of business use, and amends slightly the conditional use permit process. So we have received no comments since the first reading, and no changes have been made.
Mike, how does it affect that right at the corner of Willow and Cliff and Minnesota? On the southeast corner where they're selling all those cars there, when we get out to the annexing that land, does that have to then adhere at that point, or the grandfather since it's pre-existing? If they're
That's a
still,
good
if they are still selling cars at that time too, I mean, that was a cabinet manufacturer before.
That will depend upon whether we do a pre-annexation agreement and work through those issues, or if they come in and do a petition for voluntary annexation directly. We still have a chance at that point to negotiate that item. So under this, we'd probably allow it, but with a conditional use permit so that everybody knows what the conditions are for lighting, accesses, number of vehicles, whether or not the parking area is paved, things like that. Or if there are time limitations on gravel parking being converted to a paved parking lot, say 3 to 5 years after operations begin, something like that.
I don't think you've thought of it, or not thought of it yet, but you haven't had pre-annexation discussions with them yet, have they? Have
No.
you? Excuse me? Okay.
Yeah, they will, because the directly adjoining line is still being formed, so we'd have to.
Right.
Annex that land first and then.
Yeah, all the other parts of that corner are still not within city limits. We stopped just short on all sides, so. Something will happen eventually.
Mhm.
Right. Again, though, just, maybe just throw out that discussion. So we've covered our bases to say, when you're ready, we can talk through it first, or you can come later and.
At least then everybody knows going forward.
Exactly.
And just
What
that
the
so it
terms-
understands it's not like where they have to come in and like, okay, well, you can't sell cars anymore. It's not that meant to be that at all. It's just
Right.
Right. And by that
regulated.
time, who knows what can
Yeah.
happen, so.
I move to approve ordinance 2019-21, amending zoning regulations sections 2.6, 3.8, 3.9, and 5.24.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Mary, roll call, please.
Tank?
Aye.
Maxwell?
Aye.
Olson?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Our last business item before reports is resolution 2020-2, which is acceptance of infrastructure of the phases 1 through 4 of Debit Farm Edition.
At your last meeting in December, we went through a similar exercise for Creekside Phase 1. 1A, actually. So in this case, we're across the street in Debit Farm Edition. We have had punch lists out there for phases 1, 2, and 3 for quite a while. And phase 4, and now all those punch lists have been caught up, addressed. The inspector has approved acceptance of the infrastructure in all 4 phases. So you see the totals of the various infrastructure items: water, sewer, streets, and storm sewer. We also accept the public right-of-way that's been dedicated by the plats within that area. And this formally starts the warranty period, 2 years for streets, 1 year for water and sewer needs and storm sewer needs. So staff is recommending approval of this resolution.
I'll move to approve resolution 2020-02, acceptance of the infrastructure for phases 1 through 4 of the Debit Farm Edition, and to begin the warranty period upon its approval.
Second.
Okay, Mary, it's been moved and seconded. Mary, roll call, please.
Tank?
Aye.
Maxwell?
Aye.
Olson?
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Okay. We'll have our deputy sheriff. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Good evening. For those of you that I've not met, my name is Ben Lord, Lieutenant with the Sheriff's Office, and I'm in charge of the Patrol Division. Sheriff Swenson asked me to come today just to give you a very brief report of our activity in Harrisburg over the last year, address any concerns if you have them, or to bring anything to his attention if you'd like. I know some of you already received this information. From as of last year, our calls for service in Harrisburg have increased by 58%. I know that's a drastic increase, but I don't want anybody to think there's a surge in criminal activity in Harrisburg. There's been in all of our reporting categories, there's been a gradual increase in most of the categories, which is natural with the population growth. A lot of the drastic increase is probably attributed to a more proactive policing within the community. For instance, our traffic stops in Harrisburg from 2018 to 2019 within city limits has increased by 70%. So while there's been a lot of gradual increases in most categories, there's also been a few decreases. For instance, Burglar alarms that our deputies have responded to in town, they're down to nearly 50%. Other noteworthy increases include school truancy, underage tobacco citations, warrant arrest, protection order violations, and stolen vehicles. With that said, I just wanted to give a very brief report over this last year's activity. Does anybody have any questions or concerns for the sheriff's office?
Can I just say, I love these reports.
We'll
love
keep
these
sending
metrics.
them.
This is what the good stuff. This is what helps us make decisions. So thank you.
I can tell you that the current sheriff, and he's very numbers oriented. He's big on these reports, so we'll continue to send them.
I've noticed there's been better stops.
What's that?
Better stop signs lately. Some of them appear to be optional, but
Well, and I think too, this kind of gives us a reality check sometimes. If it's out of sight, out of mind sometimes. And so it's good to see hard numbers and things. One other thing too, I just wanted to add, and I know Toby has already sent an email to Sheriff Swenson. And as did I just wanted to again thank Deputy Barcher for coming in. Toby had him come in do a lunch and learn. And I thought it was very, I didn't attend, but I heard it was very well received and he did a great job. So I wanted to publicly thank him for that. And I really like the fact that maybe there's some other opportunities that we can work together. We can learn some things from you. Again, these metrics are just kind of the beginning. One of the things I know, if you're not familiar, one of the things that they talked about with Toby is, we have our public works guys, they go into houses and maybe look at, water meters or something. What if they smell, see, touch something that's,
Sure.
lethal or whatever. So just
when
kind
to
of,
report, what to report.
well, yeah, and what is our role in that? And so that's important. But again, just working together, because I always say too, we have to do a good job raising our citizens so we have good school kids who can grow up and be better citizens, right?
Yep.
So I look forward to working with you guys more on some other things too. So
Absolutely.
thank you. We appreciate all you
Thank
do,
you.
Lieutenant. Okay. Joe, yes.
I don't, sorry, I'm getting over another cold.
As a baby, right?
Yeah,
That's not what happens.
it is the baby. So I didn't have enough time to prepare a nice map like I had before, but I think we're all kind of familiar with a lot of the projects going on, so maybe I'll just got my pointer.
Put it away.
Yes.
I thought you were done. All right.
Let's see. Well, first things, the fourth account ended this last year at about $72,000. We budgeted $120, so there's. I haven't gone through I haven't broken it down yet, but once I do, I can probably send it out to you guys if you guys are interested. So anyway, go through some streets and related projects, the Willow Street Trail. I believe we're still planning to do that in February. Working through getting the encroachment out of the way, making sure our wetlands are accounted for. The bid estimate is higher, but we'll just have to see where the bids come in. So at this point, we're just gonna keep moving forward, see where it goes.
Do you have a offhand? 10%, 20?
I think we budgeted about 850 or 900,000, and it's a little over $1 million. That's just the engineer's estimate, so we don't know what the bidding is actually going to be.
I hope it goes like the ones that Park Board, where it's way high and it comes up. Either way, I just wanted to get
If
done.
it's a dry year, though, it might be more expensive. People have other work to do.
Yeah, hopefully. So that's kind of, we really want to get this bid as soon as possible this year. So February, I believe, is still. Commerce or Columbia. Stockwell's in design right now. They're finishing that up, so I'll be reviewing that soon and hopefully get that bid in February or March. slurry seal this year. I sent the plans over to Sioux Falls for them to bid the next, I believe this month or next month. Slurry seal this year will be Perry, from Willow, down to where we stopped. I believe that was Walnut. And then Maple, based for railroad tracks over. Hickory, that little jog there, and then Macy and Lee. Not as much slurry seals we did in the year before. This, with the money, we allotted $140,000. We estimate that slurry seal is going to cost about $70,000. With those remaining funds, we're going to do patchwork before the slurry seal comes in, and do patches elsewhere, and probably do some more temporary patching on Anaway, the north side. It's falling apart too. So we're working through those plans. We're also going to be putting together some concrete improvement plans. Before Mark left, he put a whole bunch of X's everywhere, so we just have to put those in a little plan and send that out too. So a lot of that bidding going on soon. As far as streets studies, the Nexus study for arterial road funding, we're working through still the cost breakdown on that. Hopefully get that figured out in the next month. Willow and Cliff intersection 30% design. That's still going along. I plan to have a meeting with them soon and get an update on that. And then our traffic impact study, we've had a couple meetings and just emails on how to quantify traffic and get information out before. So they're still working hard on that. So that's mostly the street stuff. Wastewater, sanitary sewer, west side trunk sewer is nearing completion on design. Hopefully did that soon. The wastewater treatment plant force main, you approved that to bid the consent agenda, so we plan to bid that in January and get our bid results back in early February and see where those prices come. We think they're going to be lower than we had initially budgeted for, so there should be some savings on that. The wastewater treatment facility, we are going through some, we're making final decisions on big options, I guess you could say. And we're going to have that meeting with the CMAR and the designer, Stockwell, either January 13th or 17th. We got to figure out, make sure everybody get in the room. We'll be discussing that and then make the big decisions. And then I believe February 4th, we'll be talking to you all about the status of everything as far as what it's going to probably look like and funds and money and things like that.
So when you say decisions, are we going to have the opportunity, if we're still over budget, to be able to take that off-ramp clause? I mean, is that something that we, getting in February, won't be too late, correct?
I don't think so on that.
Okay, we need to find out.
Okay.
I don't want any decisions made before council has the opportunity to review that.
The January 13th or 17th meeting would be the design variables, and then once we get everything where staff is comfortable, we're going to take it to you guys and show you this is what we've come up with, and then that will be enough to make any decisions that night. We are on a bit of a time schedule where we need to bid, sooner rather than later. But of course, we don't want to rush you all. We want to make sure you guys have the information in front of you. So. And
I get that. For those of you, I've been going back and forth with Joe. I'm seeing descoping happening, and I'm also seeing overrun. And I have a big concern about that. And to complicate it, obviously, is as we've discussed, we have Stockwell representing themselves and representing us. So really, the only person we have is Joe to really push back on this. So I don't think it's fair to you. Said that before. And I think that we need to, I may even be suggesting having another bid suggestion. I know you were looking for time, but if you're dealing with $4 million on a $12 million, I mean, if you're dealing with a 33% overrun, that's just not, it's just not.
I wouldn't say it would be.
I know, and we'll wait to see the numbers.
It was 17%. We have since gone, Toby and Dustin and I and Jim and everybody, we've been, and a lot of the guys at PKG too, going back and seeing what do we really want. One of the big things is the effluent pump out to the big pump that sends it out to the river. There's a cheap way to do it. There's an expensive way to do it. The cheaper way to do it is much more labor intensive. And so we went back and forth on that a lot. And it's a big money item.
So who's advising what? Are we again, Stockwell straddling the fence, right? What is their suggestion versus what is our suggestion? Are they backing us with the expensive or the cheap version or what?
They're letting us make that decision. CMAR is coming up with the cost and saying, look, this is going to cost this, or this is going to cost this. And Jim and John and Mitch, they lay it out. They say, well, honestly, there's going to be more maintenance.
Right.
And Dustin and Toby, I give Dustin a lot of credit. He really has thought through a lot of this stuff. And he can see long term of some of these things.
Yeah.
And so they're leaving. I would say they're not able to pressure us to do one thing or the other. But staff, I think I'm pretty impressed with the public works team on what they want. And they're willing to say, well, we want this. We're willing to not do this. We can do this another time. Some of the
but that's descoping, and is that 17% including the $2 million that were descoped? Because then you're really over more. If we don't do the reclamation ponds for $2 million?
Oh, we will be doing the reclamation ponds.
In this project?
It wasn't part of the Stockwell's.
$12 million?
No, it wasn't part of the contract. It was part of the CMAR.
But it wasn't part of the original 12 million?
No.
With estimate? Okay.
So we're working through costs. We're bringing you guys all the information.
Perfect.
Cover it for.
So that meeting's the 13th, 17th. Can you invite myself to that? And I guess any one of council who wants to be invited?
I suppose.
Okay. Not to invite ourselves, but
No,
again,
I just
sitting there for 1 hour.
The whole CMAR process is kind of, it's, you have the contractor on board before you're bidding. It's kind of this whole new process for everybody. So I just want to make sure I'm not doing anything wrong.
Fair enough. But there's 4 people who have votes.
Yeah.
And those are the ones who are going to have to answer to this.
Yeah.
And so if they want to be in the room, I think they have the opportunity to be.
Yeah.
So.
So
this 1370, and then you will be bringing that to us the beginning of February?
the first meeting.
Thank you. Okay.
And let's see what else was that project. Spoke to the DNR. They just want to make sure that they are kept in a loop with all the. I think it's kind of a new process to them too. So they want to make sure that everybody's following the bid law and they're keeping their files straight. And so they don't need anything from us right now, but when we get closer to finishing design, then they really want to be involved. And so I said, yeah, we'll definitely do that, of course. So I believe that's it with that project. The lagoon reclamation, and we'll get into this in February. Staff has looked into the lagoon reclamation stuff. That cost estimate is pretty high in my opinion. So we're confident that we cost savings there, but like I said, we'll go through that in February. That's all wastewater stuff. Stormwater, we got a lot of stormwater, kind of just grading projects we plan to get going. We are, Stockwell put together this little grading package down here that was part of the wastewater facility negotiation, I guess. We told them we would clean out this ditch. And so we'll bid that soon. That'll be an informal bid. It's less than 50,000. I'm also putting together a little a plan to lower the culvert on Chestnut. That's another small project that we'll just informally bid. And then we have money set aside to do some grading, and we thought we'd clean out some of the Willow and Southeastern ditch. So for those, the Willow Street bioswale. So last year that was an unbudgeted item, and then we got unfavorable bids, and so we rejected all of them. And then that was after the budget for 2020 was set. And so now we have another project that's not in any budget. So it kind of fell into this odd timeline of events. And so it's another informal bid. It'll probably be less than 50,000. And so we plan to bid that in the next couple of weeks. But it would have to be amended to the budget. So.
Okay.
And shop paving, we're gonna get the second phase of paving the parking lot bid in the next month or so. That was in the budget also. And Highway 115 water main, that's pretty much in. And I got a proposal for an aquifer study that wasn't able to get on the agenda. And for sake of transparency and everything, we'll put it on the next agenda. I won't be here for the next council meeting, but I wanted to discuss with you all what that was. So
Thank you.
Earlier this year, we got a future use permit water right for the aquifer beneath us, the Dakota aquifer, which is very deep. We also have an existing water right for the Big Sioux River. To explore our options in the future in 10, 20 years of negotiating with rural water companies or maybe pumping our own water, we need to figure out if a well is even possible. And so now before we drill a well, so a well beneath us, the Dakota aquifer is several hundred feet deep, and that would cost well over $50,000. And we might drill a test hole and come up with nothing. So why would we waste that money, right? And so what this aquifer study would do is investigate all of the wells and test holes in the entire region, in this area around Harrisburg and in our future use area, and kind of steer us towards better locations to drill test holes. And so it's really a good way to make sure we're not going to waste money on drilling a test hole. And then we would have a better understanding of the aquifer beneath us. So it'd be the Dakota aquifer, and then they're going to investigate a little more on the Big Sioux aquifer. We abandoned those wells, but and we probably don't have any opportunity to go back to that land. And so we'd have to investigate the Big Sioux north of that area, kind of just east of where Lake Alvin is, the Big Sioux aquifer next to the Big Sioux River. Kind of investigate that a little bit. There's the reason we're looking at two aquifers is the Dakota aquifer is great, it's right beneath us, but it's very deep and it's very high in minerals. The Big Sioux aquifer is very shallow, but it's further away, and it doesn't have minerals and stuff. It has nitrates and things that are associated with shallow river water going into groundwater. So it's two separate aquifers. One might be a better, it kind of depends on the location, but one might be able to pump one board than the other. And so we need to just check both, I guess. So I'll probably put that on the agenda for the next council meeting. And that was, we budgeted 40,000, and this analysis would be 23,500. So, and that's about all I got for projects. Highway 115, I understand that they're put traffic lights up in February at the intersection there. Lincoln County Transportation Study is nearing completion. I'm not sure exactly when, but soon. The reason I won't be here next council meeting is I'm going to a slurry seal conference in Las Vegas. So for an entire week, I'll learn everything there is about slurry seal. So,
Good for you.
Minnehaha County highway engineers recommended it. We'll see. I think it'll be a pretty good learning experience. So that's all I have.
I apologize if I missed it. The Cliff and Will's package that you're putting together. I did ask Andrew to call down to the county and get on that agenda. So have you done that, Andrew?
Wait so that we know when we have it.
Well, Commissioner Poppins has asked us to do it on that second. I sent you guys an email. So I want to make sure we get on that agenda, and then again, if anybody wants to try to make it for whatever reason, for support. And then that of course is our opportunity to give them kind of our package, and then they will give us feedback on anything that they want to have added to it. I actually have spoken to Commissioner Poppins and let him know that you're working on it and that we are ticking off the items. So we'll, you know, we'll put the best package we can together and we'll present it, and then they'll let us know what we need.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get some direction.
Right, exactly.
Nothing this will be completed, but we have a pretty good idea of what we're
Right.
working towards.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I think I'd rather have us go a little early and kind of give them an idea and have them give feedback versus get all the way to the end and then have them say that's not what we're looking for. So I think it was good, wise on his part. If you guys want to see that email, I can also forward it to either of you. I thought I did, maybe I didn't. And thank you, like you don't have enough to work on, so thank you for putting that together. Anything else for the city engineer? Okay. Anything, I know we don't have any other reports, anything else? Okay.
I'll be out of town next week, so
Oh, thank you.
I've limited access to email, but
And I will be out of town starting Tuesday, back Monday, so barring any weather issues, should be here next council meeting.
Okay.
But I'll be traveling back from Tennessee, so
Should
never
be
know
here.
whether
Should.
I should be here. But I will let everybody know if I'm unable to make it.
Thank you. And then I'm not sure that I said it loud enough last time. I will be not at the first meeting in February. I think that's the 5th maybe, 4th, 5th, something like that.
I had the new calendars.
I was gonna say, I would look at the calendar, but it's 2019. My God.
Okay, good to know. All right, so then I will then take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn at 7:44 PM.
Second.
Okay, Mary, roll call, please.
Hank?
Aye.
Maxwell?
Aye.
Olson?
Thank you.